Hi there. In this lesson, we're going to look at bar graphs and line graphs, but in particular comparative bar graphs and line graphs. We'll get into that later. So let's start with a bar graph. A bar graph is a very simple thing to draw, but still, it's easy to mess it up if you're not accurate and don't take your time with it. So you can see a bar graph here of different crisp flavors and the number of people choosing that particular crisp flavour for a second year class. Now, the reason I know this is because it's got a title at the top. You must put a title at the top of your bar graph. You need to label what's going on in the sides as well. Frequency is just the number of choices or items or whatever it is you're doing your bar graph on. And then down the bottom is a label of, in terms of this would be crisp flavours, or it could be car colours or music selection or whatever it is you're trying to choose. Also, you'll notice the bars are spaced out. A bar graph should have the bars equally spaced out, not crammed up together or randomly put. You'll also see that I've gone up and put wee lines out to the numbers, and the numbers are evenly spaced, and they go up in ones. You could go up in twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You could go up in threes, 3, 6, 9, so on. But you must go up in evenly spaces. I've seen people doing bar graphs and they go up 1 and then they go up to 7, then they go up to 9, and then they go up to 24. You're thinking, what's going on there? It has to go up an even number of jumps. So that's a perfect bar graph with labels at the side in the yellow there, spaced out bars. The lines, the numbers are kind of in the right positions, and it's got a title. A poor bar graph would look like this. I mean, this is a terrible bar graph, but if you think about all the problems here, there's many problems. I've written them down the side. There's no title for a start here. There's no frequency labelled up and down. And you could pause this and try and work out what the rest are yourself. But anyway, there's floating numbers. The numbers, they've no lines coming out to them. The number spacing's a bit all over the place as well. The jump from 1 to 2 is quite big compared to the jump from 3 to 4. They should be equally spaced going up and down the side there. The bars are not even. You get fat ones and thin ones, and that's not good. The bars have to be the same thickness all the way. And the bar spacing is a bit all over the place as well. You get big gaps and small gaps and no gaps and so on. It needs to be evenly spaced like the one before. Now, a comparative bar graph is where you're comparing two things in the same diagram. This is mortality rates, like deaths, in different countries. The reason I can read this is because there's details on it, and I know there's women and there's men involved because there's a wee thing called a key here, and it's saying the light ones, the light bars are for women and the dark ones are for men. So a comparative bar graph usually has two pieces of information on the same graph, and it's important to put a key to show what the two different bits are. The reason Scotland is the one in blue here is I think that's the one we're looking at, but really they should all be the same. So if you're looking at this, there's also kind of labels up and down the side. Deaths of those aged under 65 per 100,000 aged under 65 after standardising to a constant European age structure or whatever. Right, so we've got Scotland there. You can see that the men have got much higher death rates than the women, and all of the parts of the UK, it's the same. The men have a higher death rate. This is due to cardiovascular disease, cancer, and psoriasis. This is to do with Scotland than England, but it's easy to read. The bars are equally width sizes. The spacing is good. It's clearly labelled up and down the sides, going up in 50s. I can see the regions down the bottom, and so on. I've got a key to tell me which bar is which. All these things need to be present in a comparative bar graph. Okay, let's move on to line graphs just briefly. So line graphs are often used to show how things change over time, something like temperature. You can see the line graph, we don't have bars, we just have a line joining the different bits. So as this could be like the temperature at 10 o'clock, then 11 o'clock, then 12 o'clock, or it could be different months. It could be January, February, March, April. And it's good to show this kind of progression, or profits to do with money over time and so on. And you just join the points up to create a line graph. So it makes trends easier to read. The trends overall change in data over time. Now, if you're drawing a comparative line graph, you want two lines on the same diagram. Now, I've got one for periods throughout the day, and you can work out what your happiness is depending on what period you've got. So in order to do that, you would just need to plot some points. So I'm going to start with maybe on a Monday you could say, okay, period 1 you're going to give it a 4, and then period 2 you're going to give it a 3. And what you would do is you would join them up. I'll just change this into blue and so on. And then you could mark another bit, and then join it up and so on. You could go up to 5 and then down to 3 and then up to 4, then down to 5, and then lunchtime you're loving your lunch, and then period 6, and then period 7 maybe you're happy, and so on. So that could be a Monday. Now, what you would do is you would make sure you put a wee key to say blue was Monday or whatever it is that you're doing. So um, to do a different line on there, you could either use a different coloured pencil or pen, or you could do dotted. You could do a dotted line, just to show the difference. So maybe on a Tuesday, period 1, you're not as happy, and then period 2 you're up, and then interval you didn't have a good time, interval your snack was rubbish or whatever, you get the idea. And then you can plot your second one, making sure you're using a ruler as well. I'm just making these up, but there you go. Okay, so you have a comparative line graph, 2 lines on the same diagram. Again, the same with the bar graph. Make sure you've got wee lines coming out to your numbers. The numbers are equally spaced, and the jumps along the bottom are also equally spaced. Okay, I've went two boxes for each kind of jump. Period 1, 2 boxes, 2 boxes to intervals. You need everything evenly spaced and well set out, and use a ruler. Right, good luck with that then.